Good morning, good afternoon, and good day, everybody. David here, and today I want to try something a little different. I want to offer my top 10 tips about Marvel's Avengers that you might not know about or that you haven't seen other people cover. They are sort of in a rough order of importance, the most important being the last one. So let's just dive straight in. Number 10. Mission failure doesn't affect your mission rating. It may sound crazy, but the amount of people I see that quit right at the end of a mission because they fail in like the last section, and what they don't realize is the game just reloads that checkpoint, and as long as your character doesn't go down or anyone in your party goes down, you will still get 100% success rating. So please don't leave a game or don't quit out on other people because of a mission failure screen, because you'll miss out on all of that juicy loot. Number 9. Where to get DNA keys and what do they do? The DNA keys drop from completing a villain sector, and they can be used to open specific but randomly located chests that are in like the open world sections of the missions. So the chests are normally located near the chests you open for doing a side mission, and they can award loads of upgrade materials, more so than a normal chest does, and also has the chance of dropping extra gear. So it's always worth doing if you have been farming a load of villain sections and have lots of DNA keys. Number 8. Your major artifact's power level affects your overall level. So gear drops in this game are currently maxed to a maximum of 130 power level, and the minor artifacts are also capped at 130. So you then must use upgrade materials to upgrade both your gear and your minor artifact to get them up to 140. But 150 is the maximum overall level, so to get that extra 10 you need to level up your major artifacts. So because the major artifact affects just your overall level, they are normally quite expensive to level up. They require the polychloron material, which is one of the more difficult materials to find in the game. So you normally get it from completing objectives and from your character's season pass. So make sure you're spending the polychloron wisely on whatever major artifact fits your build better. You will need to level up several major artifacts, ideally, and for several characters, so make sure you're completing as many objectives and stuff as you can to get as much polychloron as possible. Number 7. What damage and defense buffs actually do. So when acquiring a damage or defense buff, which normally come from your gear perks in the game, but sometimes can occur from the skill tree themselves, the damage buff actually boosts your in-game stats, mainly your might, precision and proficiency stats. Therefore it's boosting your melee and range damage, as well as your critical hit chance. However, the defense buff in this game doesn't seem to boost any stats, so it doesn't boost your resilience or resolve stat like you would expect it to. Instead, it actually reduces the amount of damage enemy attacks do to you. I found this bizarre but very interesting, and from doing some testing it appears to me that that's just how it works. Number 6. Only way currently to boost your heroic cooldowns, so to make them come back faster, outside of collecting heroic orbs, is with specific gear perks. So these perks can appear on any and all armor slots for all characters, as well as appearing on some minor artifacts. Sometimes it's a base percentage increase in like regen time, other times it's a percentage chance of a burst of heroic energy from performing a specific action. This is why I always prioritize skills in the skill tree that provide a means of creating heroic orbs as well, because that's your only consistent way of making your heroic attacks come back faster. Number 5. Knowing the difference between heavy and light finishes. as well as power attacks, range power attacks, and signature attacks. So each character has one of each of these moves, and each character's gear has perks associated with each one as well. They provide either a means to apply status effects, provide a percentage chance for a buff, or even getting heroic energy back, etc. So it's important to learn what moves for each character are classed as heavy or light finishes or signature attacks, etc. And it's also important to pay attention to what move will activate the perk on the armor you have. So for example, if you have a shield throw for Captain America that only works on range power attacks, that will only work on the shield throw where you chain it between multiple enemies or do the shield kick. Just your normal shield throw attack does not count as a ranged power attack. It's also useful to know what move fits your playstyle better or your build better, and find and equip the right gear with the corresponding perks to activate on that move. This sort of links to number 5, but number 4 is knowing what moves stun, break barriers, and apply statuses easier. So some moves in the game can apply these effects far easier and quicker than others. So for example, Thor's signature move, which is the hammer spin, applies stun really easily, as well as providing status effects super easy just because of the sheer amount of hits it does in one combo. Another example is Iron Man's lasers. They break shields really easily and provide status effects far easier than his repulsors or rockets do. His heavy finisher is also really quick and easy to do, and applies statuses far easier than his melees do, whereas Cap excels more at light combos compared to his heavy attacks, and his range power attacks are really good at applying status effects as well. So knowing what combos, moves and gear perks work best for each character, and making your build and your team as a whole work around that and in cohesion with that will give you a massive advantage in the game. The stats. Gear and gear perks go hand in hand with your character's stats, and arguably the stats of your character for your particular build you're going for are the most important thing. So understanding what each stat actually does and how that affects the way you should play the game or the way you want to play the game is super important. So the might stat affects your melee damage and is important for light combos, as well as your heavy combos for certain characters like Cap and Hulk. It can also affect some of the character's signature attacks, such as Cap's leg sweep. Precision is your range damage, so this affects obviously Iron Man's repulsors, lasers and rockets, as well as Hulk's rock throw, but it also affects things like Iron Man's heavy combo, or Miss Marvel's like range punch she does. So it's always important to remember what stat affects what move. So resilience is your armor or defense stat, and that affects how much damage you actually take from each enemy attack before going down. Efficiency is your critical chance, so that affects your melees and range attacks, as well as the chance for your armor perks to actually take effect. Valor is your critical damage, so this goes hand in hand with your proficiency stat, as well as how much damage your heroic moves actually do. Resolve is your maximum health, as well as how quick it regens when you start getting healed or you pick up some health. And finally, intensity is how much stun damage you can provide, and how much status damage you can actually do, as well as your resistance to being stunned and your resistance to statuses. All these stats work hand in hand with each other and directly affect your DPS, so it's vital you understand them and prioritize the right stats for your build. And at number 2, we have what the status effects actually do. So, there's currently 6 status effects in the game, and they all affect you and your enemies in different ways. So Cryo slows your enemies down, it makes them not only attack less often, but if they're knocked up in the air or knocked down, they get back up or fall slower as well, so this can be really good for chaining combos. Gamma poisons enemies and they take tick damage over time, and if they get defeated whilst under the gamma effect, they actually spread the poison to other nearby enemies. So this is good for like ad clearing and just passing constant tick damage between a group of enemies. Shock damage makes enemies take more damage from all attacks, including from your teammates, as well as improving the potential that your attacks become critical attacks. Plasma applies a burn, which makes your enemies take burn damage over time, as well as interrupting their attacks so they can't get combos on you as easy. Beam damage can shrink your enemies, making them take more damage, as well as decreasing the amount of damage that they can do. And finally, cosmic damage makes enemies also take more damage from all sources, as well as healing you per hit whilst they are under the cosmic effect. Each status type has a different effect and excels in different scenarios, so always bear in mind what they do and what you want them to do in regards with your build. Number 1. What I believe is the most important tip to get your head around, and links to number 2 directly, is understanding exploit damage. So in Marvel's Avengers, exploit damage is the big green damage numbers that you see when you stack positive and negative status effects onto the same target. The negative effects in the game are cryo, gamma, and shock. Positive effects are the other 3, plasma, PIM, and cosmic. Each character has the ability to take advantage of exploit damage by themselves, as long as you spread a positive and negative effect across both your melee and range abilities. Also, many heroes have different status effects inherent into their skills. So this can include Thor, with his inherent shock damage from his lightning attacks, as well as Iron Man's EMP blast also providing shock damage. Hulk can also provide gamma damage by using his rage ability, as well as his big AoE gamma blast that he can do. Bear these in mind when you are making your build, so you can stack the opposite status effects onto whatever skills you already have. So some of the examples that I like doing is with Captain America providing a cryo effect onto a single target, helping slow them down, making it easier to chain combos onto, and I have cryo effect on my light combo finishes. I then follow up with a PIM particle positive effect damage on my shield throws, and because I stack stats into his precision bar, not only are my range attacks doing more damage because the stat is bigger, but then the exploit damage is bigger because of the stacking of the effects. With Iron Man, if I'm playing more of a ad clearing role, I like to have gamma effects on my repulsors, so then I can spread poison damage amongst loads of ads and they can spread the gamma poison between them. Or if I'm focusing more on doing big damage numbers with my repulsors, I'll have the PIM particle damage on my repulsors, and I'll have a gamma effect on his signature attacks. So then I can do his power dive attack, which counts as a signature attack, which does a big AoE splash damage on the ground, causing gamma effect to loads of targets, and then follow up with the PIM particle repulsors, which then will do the exploit damage on multiple targets. Well, that's it for the video. That was my top 10 tips that you possibly didn't know about in Marvel's Avengers. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you learned something. If there's any tips that I didn't mention that you think are really good, please leave them in the comment section below. And if you've liked the video, enjoyed the gameplay, please check out my other videos. I'm currently making my way through my favourite build to use with every single hero currently in the game. If you want to be a part of my community, please click that subscribe button. Also join us over on Facebook, where I stream every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Links will be down in the description below. But until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and I shall see you all very soon indeed. Bye bye.